Hello and welcome to this episode of What's Their MO. I'm Rick Masnick.
And I'm Bob Orlando, and what we'd like to talk about today is something we do to help our clients improve their credit scores when they're looking for a pre-approval or a purchase, and it's something that we call a rapid rescore.
Yep. And the significant thing for us to point out is a lot of people are under the misconception that when you charge something on a credit card or when you make a payment on the credit card, that it gets reported to the credit bureaus like that. And that's not the case, because most of your credit agencies are only, or credit accounts, they're only reporting to the credit bureaus once a month.
Right. And so what happens with a report monthly, or you can get caught up into that cycle. So if you have a credit card, say with a zero balance, and you go to the store and you charge something, but you pay it off immediately, when that picks up, if it's still within that same credit cycle, your credit report is still going to show that you have a zero balance.
Yeah, so it doesn't even look like you had any activity on the account.
Doesn't look like they had any activity, but still zero balance.
Yeah. So having a score that's lower than you like, part of the reason for that could be that, let's say, for instance, you've got a credit card that's got a $1,000 limit and your balance is $950. Mm-hmm. Well, now you look like you're practically maxed out. And that is something that will pull your credit score down. It's not just the late payments, it's how much or how you're utilizing that credit. And credit cards actually have more of an impact on your credit score, by the way, than any other accounts, because it's a measure of your activity and your responsibility with your ability to charge.
Right, with managing credit, especially with revolving credit versus comparing that to, say, with an installment loan. Yep. So what happens sometimes is that we'll have borrowers coming in again for a pre-approval, or they're looking to purchase, or they have a house that they want to buy, and we run the score and we're like, oh, the FICO score is just not kind of where it needs to be, and it's because of credit card balances. So what we'll ask the people to do, or our clients to do, is to say, take that particular card or cards and pay it down to, say, 75% of the max credit limit. Yep. And what that's going to do, it's going to show that you are now not maxed out. And that will help, reduce your credit score. Now, it's going to, typically if you do that, it's going to take 30 days for it to cycle through. But if you're in a time crunch with a house, we can then do what is called, again, we talked about it earlier, the rapid rescore. Well, we'll take a statement. You'll have to provide us with a statement. And then we'll send it into our credit vendor. Then the credit vendor will update the 3 bureaus, and then we get it all done, in time for your closing.
Quick side note on that too is if we don't want to wait for the next statement to come in, we can actually go to the credit accounts and get them to provide us with a letter. Capital One is the best. I'm not saying the others are bad, but Capital One's the best for this. You make a payment, the payment clears, the borrower calls Capital One and says, I need something on your letterhead that says my name, the account number, and the new balance.
Right.
And they'll email it to the customer. The customer forwards that to us. We turn it in, and we can get the rapid rescore done rapidly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But Capital One's great for that. But other credit agencies or credit account people like Discover and whatnot, or some of the other ones, Wells Fargo. I don't want to just name one or two, but they might do the same thing. I've just had great experience with Capital One. So we don't want to wait for the statement to come in, because that could be 3 more weeks.
Yeah. And it has to be on a letterhead, or just can't be?
Yeah, it can't be in the body of the email. It's got to be an attachment that we can turn around and forward to our credit vendor.
Yeah.
And by the way, we have a program built within our credit reporting system that will tell us, hey, if you want your score up 27 points, if that's what we're looking for, here's what you need to do. The credit reports we get now, because we changed credit vendors within the last year. Yeah. Now we get credit reports, and it will tell us what the FICO scores are for TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. Just pulled one this morning, and it literally said right underneath the credit score, there's an opportunity for this score to increase by X number of points.
Right.
And you can click on that and see what steps need to be taken. And I like to call this following the recipe. Yeah. Because, case in point, one of the first times I did a rapid rescore, I called the borrower. I told him, listen, if you pay this account down to a balance of $129, we're going to be able to get the score up this number of points. And I don't remember what the balance was, but they had the attitude of, well, if it's only $129 more, I'm just going to pay the thing off. So they did that. I got the updated letter or statement, forwarded it to the credit vendor, and when they told me that the process was complete and I updated the credit report, the score didn't go up as much as we had hoped. So I called the credit reporting agency. I got a customer service rep on. I said, they paid off the account completely. Why didn't we get a better score? And they said, because you didn't follow the exact steps in the report that we sent you or the instructions that we sent you. And I call it following the recipe because it's kind of like baking a cake. If you don't follow the recipe, don't expect or don't be surprised when the cake comes out of the oven and it's not what you were expecting when you
right, exactly. And also by making a partial payment or the requested payment, it shows that you have the ability to manage debt and that you're just not going to ring it up and then come across some money and then pay it off. So it also that gets factored in. So again, follow the recipe, as we suggested. But sometimes, like we talked about earlier, you said the importance of having something on the letterhead, is that we have clients sometimes that say maybe have some old collections or old charge-offs, not necessarily medical, but could be a car payment, or it could be, we see cell phone charge-offs and collections more than we probably should, but we do see that. Now these things can be paid off, so that can improve your credit, improve your credit rating. But what you have to do is you do need to get a letter, again, from that company, on the letterhead to prove it. But what happens sometimes is I think you had one not too long ago where it went into collection, and so the people actually paid off the collection company and say not MasterCard or CitiCard or something like that. So the thing is that you're going to actually get some supporting document from that actual creditor.
I hate those because what really irritates me on that stuff is the person paid it off, but the collection agency didn't go back and fix the person's credit report. I always tell folks, when you pay something off, get me the paperwork so I can get the credit report updated, or I'll help you get it done. If we don't need to necessarily do it rapid rescore, there's other ways you can get it done, snail mail.
Exactly.
But, these credit agencies or collection agencies will tell you, all right, well once we've got the payment and the check clears, we'll fix your credit report. They don't do that, because I always tell folks, if they're working, the collection agent has one of two options. They can spend time fixing your credit report, or they can spend time calling the next person they're trying to collect money from. Which one do you think they're going to do?
That's right.
They don't go, and unfortunately, there's no legislation in place right now to force them to go and do this. So it's up to the consumer to get their credit report updated.
Yeah. So like we said, if something does go into collection, it is some extra steps, and it can be a little, it can be a little pain point there trying to get it cleared up. But we do have to get something in writing if you paid it off. Again, keep all documentation you have, but the letter showing proof of payment has to come from the actual creditor and not the collection agency.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll see, it was I'm just going to use this for an example again, Capital One. It might have been a Capital One card.
Yeah.
It got charged off. There's a different collection agency trying to collect the payment. You paid off the collection agency, but it still says Capital One on the credit report.
Correct.
That's a pain in the neck, but we've got to get it from the one that's reporting to the credit bureau. It can't be from a third party. Sometimes the collection agency is the one that's reporting, and that's easy.
Exactly.
But if it's Capital One.
Right. So I guess what we could also do is, like Rick was saying before, follow the recipe that we recommend. And also, if you think you've got some credit issues, start with a pre-approval early before you get involved with the house, so we can have time to take care of this information with less stress.
Yeah, and since you mentioned that too, very important point is this is a service that we provide for someone who has an active mortgage application in process. This is not something that we do just to help people get their credit scores. We're not a credit repair agency. So this is for someone who's actually got an application in for a pre-approval, a purchase, even a refinance, and we want to rapidly get their score to where it needs to be so that we can get them the mortgage that they're looking for. So if you found this information useful or helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you know someone else that this information could benefit, please pass this video on to them. But for now, that concludes this episode of What's Their MO. I'm Rick Masnick.
And I'm Bob Orlando. We'll see you next time.